Hello, this is Mary Jones, and this is an introduction to LinkedIn for UNE Public Health students. This will be a great overview for those of you who already have an account and for those students who just want to get started from scratch with an account. Just to give you a sense of our agenda for this webinar, I will talk about a brief introduction of myself as well as the role and purpose of LinkedIn and how to really use it to your advantage. Also, we'll go into some details on how to set up your LinkedIn profile and some key etiquette information. Very important, we'll have some special features covered with the top 10 strategies for creating and marketing your personal brand on LinkedIn, networking etiquette, as well as really important information on LinkedIn groups, and some secrets for utilizing LinkedIn for your jobs. Just to let you know, as you have questions along the way during this webinar, you will be able to ask them on the sidebar of your panel, and we will answer each of the questions at the end, so please note those along the way, and we'll cover all of the questions at the very end. Just a personal introduction for me. I recently started at the University of New England about 1 year ago, and I manage all undergraduate services, including resume reviews, personal statement reviews, our mock interviews, the employer and recruiter connections and relationships, alumni networking, job fairs, and LinkedIn training, of course, as well as all of our postgraduate data reporting. I also manage the services for our online students for public health and social work, as well as our education students. This is a brief history of LinkedIn. LinkedIn launched in 2003 and has really grown into where it is today with more than 200 million members. So it has really evolved over the years here and can each day. 45% of companies actually use Twitter to recruit talent, and 50% use Facebook. But 80% of companies are using LinkedIn to identify talent for their organizations. This is very important because LinkedIn is viewed as very credible, and since they are using it and actively recruiting this way, it is very important for candidates to start using it in their job search strategy. 42% of users update their profile regularly, and then 35% of LinkedIn users are accessing the site daily. I just want to remind you, as you do set up the site, this will not be something that you check just once a year or twice a month. You really want to be in it at least weekly and then daily as you are doing an active job search. There are more than 3 million company pages. This is new for LinkedIn over the past couple of years, that companies are developing their own pages on here. So as you are actively seeking employment for certain companies, you're able to go in and view what their company page has, their key recruiting contacts. So very important to use it like that. As we are looking at specifically public health in the global world, you want to think about 64% of users are outside the US for LinkedIn. It is a very global network. And then 225 million LinkedIn members are on there right now in more than 200 countries. 2 people join LinkedIn every second. It is fast, and this gives you another indication of the companies that are on, of the countries that are on LinkedIn and the numbers. You can see here 74 million in the United States, 18 million in India, and you can see it broken down and divided by the different fastest growing countries are Turkey, Colombia, and Indonesia. They are very much engaged and continuing to grow on LinkedIn here. Now I want to talk with you about really the role and purpose of LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is intended to be used in conjunction with your job search efforts. So by no means am I advocating for you to only use LinkedIn. You should use LinkedIn as one of the strategies during your job search, and you should also be continuing to apply for positions, and you should also be continuing to network with people in person. When I say that, I always say definitely connect with people on LinkedIn, quality before quantity, and then take it in person. Ask them if they would like to meet for coffee, for an informational interview. Talk to them on the phone. You definitely do not want to keep LinkedIn only on the computer. People hire people, not paper. You really should connect with people in person as much as possible. Those in-person connections and networking strategies lead to interviews, and the interviews lead to job offers. So that just gives you the strategy for using LinkedIn during your search. Now, very exciting, the top 10 steps for creating a successful LinkedIn profile. Number 1, you want to fill out the free online profile with this link right here, www.linkedin.com, and you want to create a great profile heading. This will be your brand. It's your personal brand as you market yourself to employers online. You want to denote, are you a public health graduate student and seeking a particular type of employment? What is your functional focus? What is your industry focus? What is your goal right then? You want to put that information right in there. Are you seeking opportunities for your capstone work? Where are you looking? What are you seeking? And any kind of geography information there too. And then you should visit UNE's public health group, which you are welcome to join, where you can look at what your peers are saying too for their personal brand to give you some ideas and ideas on how to differentiate yourself too. Number 2, employers are very, very, very concerned with profiles that have pictures versus those that do not. You want to make sure for an active search that you have a photo. For those that do not have a photo, they're not even interested in looking at the profile. It seems very odd to them. It looks like you're hiding something. So you want to make sure you have a professional photo on here. So when I say professional, none of those cute little puppy photos or those Facebook photos or photos with other people. This should be a professional, high-quality headshot of only you. And it should be representing you as a professional as if you were going to your number 1 job interview. That's what I say. And you can get these completed at conferences or whenever there's an on-campus fair. We usually have those available with LinkedIn portraits, or just having a friend take a professional photo too. So keep that in mind, professional background photo. Number 3, your education. It is recommended that you do include all of your previous institutions and your current institutions, so undergraduate and graduate programs, and even if you only attended a school for a summer program or for a study abroad opportunity, you should list all of these on here. LinkedIn is in a very professional Facebook, so by doing this, you will be able to connect and network with alumni and colleagues from these institutions, but also this gives the employer a really great indication of the schools where you attended, and it's very accurate. You should include notable GPAs, honors and awards, and significant academic achievements. I'll talk about this a little later in the presentation, but you can include some of your capstone work here or significant theses. So keep that in mind, that it's like an e-portfolio, if you will, right now. LinkedIn allows for you to upload this information on here. Number 4, your professional summary. This is an excellent way to present yourself to a general audience. You can include a paragraph that describes your professional goals, your qualifications, and recent relative achievements. Recent is key. You don't want to definitely be talking about things that are very historical. You want this to be your best face forward. Look at it as your professional summary for your number 1 job that you're looking for, but keep it a little general enough so that it can work for, be broad enough for your general job search. You should be concise and market yourself well. And we're happy to review these for you in our office, and my contact information will be included later. But keep that in mind. A professional summary is very important for your LinkedIn profile. Number 5, your work experience. You should include all of your recent relative work experiences. And this section is very similar to your resume, but include most recent projects. Your resume may include additional details that are not as important for your LinkedIn profile. And I always say, have the profile have all of the recent related work experiences, and then your resume can include those additional details that can offer additional information for the employer when they receive it. So it doesn't have to be a complete replication. You should use keywords because your profile will be searched by employers, and the keywords will enable them to search for you for key roles that you are interested in. And remember, you don't have to limit yourself to just paid work experiences. Include volunteer experiences. Include key projects. You can upload the PowerPoint slides and URLs and more. So you can include this e-portfolio. You can put this together very nicely on LinkedIn. It enables you to do so. Number 7 here, joining groups. You can join relevant groups that are in your field. This is a great way to connect with new contacts. Quality over quantity. So you want to connect with contacts that are very related to your search. And the public health groups, regional in your area and national, are really important for you to connect with, as well as the UNE alumni group. We have a fantastic alumni group on LinkedIn that you should definitely consider adding to your profile, as well as the UNE Public Health Group. And there will be other alumni groups for your undergraduate institutions as well, so keep that in mind. And joining the groups, especially for public health, here are some great examples that you may want to write down. American Public Health Association, the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Federal Emergency Management Agency for FEMA, as well as the World Health Organization. These are just a few. When you join these groups, you can opt into receiving weekly or monthly emails that keep you updated on the trends in these fields, or you can select not to receive those regular emails, but just be a part of the groups. Really important. When you are a part of these groups, LinkedIn has first, second, and third connection levels. And LinkedIn is very concerned with the first and second connections. When you want to add another professional to your connection list, you should be affiliated with them in some way, and the groups enable you to be affiliated. They will ask you, how do you know this person? Because LinkedIn does not want you connecting with people you don't know at all or have any connection to. So if that makes sense, you want to be a part of these groups so that as you are adding additional professionals, you can say, oh, I know you through this group, and then you will be able to become a first connection versus a second and third. So that's a really great way to add additional contacts in your intended field to your LinkedIn connection. Number 8, getting endorsed and recommended. You should have, for a very ideal profile, a few recommendations from employers, 1 or 2 really strong recommendations from current supervisors, former supervisors, or professors, or staff members. Keep in mind, not everybody is on LinkedIn yet who are your faculty and staff, and they may have a preference of when they wish to connect with you. They may want to wait for you to become alumni of the institution. So ask them first in person, would you be willing to write a recommendation on LinkedIn? How comfortable are you with doing that? And try to get those on there. And some people may be very comfortable and some people not as much, and they may prefer writing a supplemental recommendation that's not included in the profile. But at the same time, you can collect endorsements. These are, and I'll be able to show you screenshots in a little bit, these are from peers and colleagues and supervisors that are able to identify key skills where you have an expertise. So you may receive endorsements for public speaking, for research, and for writing skills, and those will come across on your profile. Very important here. When you are receiving the recommendations or endorsements, you get to decide whether you want this included on your profile. So there won't be anything that people can write without you selecting whether you want to approve it for your profile. So this is a very great way to build a very positive profile that can be successful during your job search. Number 9, this is one of the best kept secrets of creating a LinkedIn profile. You can customize the URL for your profile. When you first sign up, you'll get a profile that will have linkedin.com and / some part of your name and a lot of numbers, which is not ideal for when you're including the URL on your resume or business card. This way, and you want to do this as soon as you set up your profile, because these are going fast with more than 200 million users, you want to create one that has your name in it or has your email abbreviation for your name. You may have to make it somewhat unique here, but at least it will be something more recognizable than all the numbers that they give you for the traditional URL before you customize. When you do this, and you may want to write this down, you go to your profile, you click Edit next to the URL under your profile photo, and that will take you through the directions for customizing your URL. It's a best kept secret of LinkedIn. Number 10, personal invitations. As I mentioned earlier, not everybody is on LinkedIn yet. And when everybody is on LinkedIn who are in your network, your faculty, your staff, your supervisors, you should ask people in person whether they wish to connect with you when you do have such a familiar relationship with them. And again, as I mentioned before, some faculty and staff may wish for you to be alumni of the institution before they want to connect with you on here. But when you do connect with new professionals in your field or professionals from conferences, you should write a personal note. When you first sign up for LinkedIn, it will ask, do you want to invite everybody in a mass way from your network onto LinkedIn? And I have to advise you against that. I have to advise you to write a personal note, quality before quantity, remember, that asks them, oh, I'd really like to add you to my network. I remember meeting you at this conference. It was a pleasure to talk to you about these topics, and let's connect on LinkedIn. That goes a long way as opposed to just sending the default personal invitation. So make it personal. Do the follow-up. Send thank yous. Definitely, as you are building your LinkedIn network, remember, this is a depiction of how you are as a professional. So keep that in mind, and remember to take it offline. Once you do cultivate that relationship, do follow up with in-person connections, informational interviews, phone calls. Take it to that next level. Don't just leave it on the computer. LinkedIn is the first way of connecting, and then take it to that whole other level of meeting with professionals in person. Remember, as I said before, people hire people, not paid. Some additional tips. So, you want to search for jobs by entering keywords in the job search field, and you can save your searches. So you are able to search by geography as well as keywords for job titles, and it's one way of searching for jobs. There are so many other ways as well. Use LinkedIn in conjunction with the other strategies for job searching. As I mentioned before, company pages, great new resource. So many companies are online now and have their own company pages. You can use these pages to your advantage as you connect with HR professionals in the field and other company members of those pages. Always do your research. Before you schedule an informational interview or of course, an actual in-person or phone interview, you can research so much online. So make sure that you take the time to research the company thoroughly. Research the person, because you will be able to find so much information about people on their professional LinkedIn profiles. And as I always say, quality before quantity. When building your connections on LinkedIn, I can say from experience on my page that I know each of my contacts personally, and I can give you more information on them. I don't just add random contacts on there. I make sure that there's a personal connection there. And include additional personal interests. LinkedIn is very professional, but you can include some interests that you have, whether it be in athletics or some hobbies. It humanizes your whole profile, and you can also follow influencers, and I'll show you these key things on the screenshots. But this is a really great way to make a full profile that includes a great depiction of you. and you should visit LinkedIn often and promptly respond to requests to connect. If you do not want to connect with someone for some reason, you can click ignore and they will not be notified. That's sometimes a question that I get. But as you do receive requests to connect from professionals in your field, especially recruiters and employers, you want to respond promptly. That will reflect positively on you when you do respond promptly and you are using LinkedIn regularly. Now, some scary good and some scary bad LinkedIn secrets, just so you're aware. Number one, recruiters can contact your former coworkers before they even contact you. This is something that can be done because LinkedIn will have all of your information even before you submit a resume to a recruiter. If they are searching and finding your profile, they will have this information or whatever you care to share on your profile about former employers. Keep that in mind that that can happen. Number two, LinkedIn sends job posters the 24 best candidates based on profile content. Keep those keywords updated. Definitely enhance your profile. Complete the profile so that it is 100% completed. Number three, adding extra titles in your work experience title boxes will let you show up higher in the search results. Very important, because you do want, above everything else, LinkedIn does enable you to show up very high if you do a Google search of yourself. And I do advise you to do a Google search of yourself and see what comes up, so that if there are any concerns with Facebook or other things, you can definitely address them before an interview or before you begin job searching. But also, LinkedIn allows your professional self to show up very high in the search engines, so keep that in mind. Number four, you can send free messages to many recruiters. That's great to know, because you can actually message recruiters, and when you do connect with my office, I can talk to you about strategies for doing that. Also, number five, you can invite to connect or send a message to any group member. That's what I mentioned earlier, the really great importance of joining groups. You're able to message them. Otherwise, LinkedIn considers you so distant sometimes from other connections that you have to find a shared connection from your network to actually send a message to others. This way, you don't have to do that. You are connected and affiliated with them through a group. And number six, you can learn the last name or truncated last names on Google. As I mentioned, first, second connections on LinkedIn, you will be fine. For third connections, sometimes you're not going to get the full last name, especially if the professionals you're seeking to connect with have a private profile. So keep that in mind, that you can do some Google searching to find out who they are, or you can try to join more groups where you will be somewhat affiliated with them. So let's take the time right now to visit the LinkedIn site so that you can actually have a visual of what you'll be doing. Here is an example of Janelle Redmond, who gave me permission to show her profile on here. She graduated from the public health program, and you can see right here, right at the top, it asks me, do I want to endorse her for any of these skills or expertise? And I can endorse for higher education, community outreach, some of the things she may already have, or I can skip this step. Then I'm able to see her name, her current role, where she's based out of, and her previous education, as well as or previous experience, and as well as her current experience here. And if you look on the right hand side, it will give me information of people who are similar to Janelle and how they rank in terms of those first, second, third connections. And people who have also been viewed on here, and you can see my little photo there too. So keep that in mind, that this will be a nice visual for you later. And her background. As I mentioned before, include the information from your resume, and then it will pull the logos from those different organizations and schools where she worked here. Now, when you scroll down on the profile, you will see her education, MPH, the dates for it, and then her practical experience, her main CDC infectious disease epidemiology program, and her capstone project information. She's able to include that because it's very much like an e-portfolio, as well as her undergraduate experience from Bates, her major, and some key activities and societies where she belonged, as well as interests. And as you can see, when recruiters review this and they're able to see common interests such as skiing or biking or traveling or yoga, these are key information bites that you can include on your profile to make you a more attractive candidate. These are things that they may have in common with you. And also, as I mentioned earlier, it really humanizes the profile in a really great way. Then, Elizabeth Bentz, who you know very well, is one of your student support specialists for the University of New England. And this is a sample profile for her, as well as that key, look in the middle here, customized URL. She was able to customize hers right here. So that's listed right underneath her photo. And then activity. This talks about what she has been doing. Did she join some recent groups? And that's neat to see, and it shows that she stays current with her profile. I do have to say, look in the middle here, her 159 connections, she knows very well. And she also would prefer to connect with the public health students after they graduate. So I do have to say that as so many people are viewing this webinar, make sure that you're not asking her to connect right now. Wait until after you graduate, and then she is happy to connect with you. When you look down here, her background, she included a summary. And her summary includes key information on her key skills that she has to offer. So if I'm an employer, I am able to go in here and look at her strategic communication skills in her summary, her social media, her public and media relations skills, and then I'm able to say to myself, do I want to contact her? Do I want to offer her this posting and information? Now, her experience. She has kept it current to include her current role as a student support specialist for the online worldwide learning at the University of New England, and what she does here, very important, as well as her previous role. And her previous roles, as you can see, she even worked for Disney in the past. So this can actually open the doors for her for so many alumni from that. Then she also included her honors and awards, and quite a few too. So this shows what a high achieving person she is, as well as organizations that she has been a part of. What's really nice about LinkedIn is it will show you, if you look on the right hand side here, people you may know. This is very important. It will pull from the network that you belong to, from your schools and from your groups. These are people you may know and want to connect with. So that will be here as well. And then her recommendations. As I mentioned, have one or two minimum very strong recommendations that are on your profile. It will set you apart during your job search. But make sure you're comfortable asking people in person about writing those recommendations. And then when you scroll down to the bottom here, her connections. And as I mentioned, 159 quality connections that she has. People that she can go to for professional advice or to connect with others in her intent. Groups, so important. If you do have a very specific geography, such as working in Maine, you should add the Living and Working in Maine group. If you are seeking specific positions within public health, join those groups that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. Also, very interesting about LinkedIn, you can follow different news sources for your field as well as companies. And as you can see, she's following the CDC. She's following the University of New England. So you can do that on here. And I do have to thank LinkedIn so much for the sources, for the imagery, and the statistics for this presentation. It has been the most helpful as we did design this presentation with the purpose of showcasing how to use LinkedIn to your advantage for a successful job search. Thank you so much for listening. And again, my name is Mary Jones. My email is mjones14@une.edu, and I'm so excited to share LinkedIn secrets and information and all of the key information for setting up a profile with